at anything. I was just average at everything in my life. And in this community, we can dress up, we can look however we want, we can say whatever we want, we can be as weird as we want, and we get celebrated for that. And that's awesome. That's what that's the way it should be. We should be celebrated for our creativity. So I love you guys. You guys are my family, and that's the greatest thing that's come from this. Thank you. Hey, how are you?
Doing good. My question is a bit of a two-parter. First one was, out of all the video game projects you've worked on all throughout the years, what are some of your favorite ones you've had some of the best experiences working with?
On video games particularly?
Yeah, just video games particularly.
Well, we talked about that a little bit before. You know, the ones I mentioned before certainly would apply. Man, it's so hard to whittle that down because I've worked on so many. One of the ones that I really loved working on that probably most of you have never heard of is called The Dig. You guys ever heard of The Dig? It's an old LucasArts game. And I got to play a German guy named Ludger Brink, who was a terrible person. He was awful. And he stuck his hand in a crevice on a thing trying to get some crystal, and his hand got stuck and he had to cut off his own hand. It was awesome. I loved that. And I was working with the people from Star Wars. I was working with LucasArts at the time, who thankfully have employed me for many, many years. And the first game I did for them was Full Throttle. And then I got to do a bunch of the Star Wars games. And I think that sort of led me up to where I'm working in Star Wars now. So that holds a really special place in my heart. Also, X-Men Legends was the first time I played Wolverine. So that was sort of a benchmark for me. So many of the games, though, I mean, for different reasons. I've had a great time working on all of them, except the ones that they hurt me.
The second part was, I know you've worked on loads and loads of Star Wars game projects all throughout the years. And I was actually curious about this. We never got to see the game released. Were you actually cast as any role in the Star Wars 1313 game that they were coming out with, that they had to cancel at last minute because of the buyout?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
The problem is when I'm working on games particularly, they're usually under code names.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want us to know what we're working on. That's a part of another part of the contract. We want to know what we're working on, so we have some idea. But yeah, I most of the time when I'm working on games, I don't even know what the game is called until it comes out. I'm working on 3 games for Warner Brothers right now. They're under these weird code names. I have no idea what they are. They could be some huge new blockbuster thing, but...
Yeah, I was worrying about that because that one's supposed to be like a really gritty kind of Star Wars game. I was like, Steve would be an epic voice for that kind of game.
No idea, man.
But I might as well have just asked. I was really curious, and we never really saw any much of a cast list for the games.
Oh yeah, I'll have to look it up. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I'll ask them. I'm still in touch with the guys who used to be at LucasArts. I'll have to ask them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Question I don't know the answer to. That's great.
Hello.
Hi.
First off, big fan.
Thank you.
I love your work in Bebop and Shampoo.
Thanks.
Well, I'm aspiring to become a voice actor myself, and I was wondering, you mentioned that some of the roles, like, you know, they would take a toll on the voice. Yes.
Yes.
What are some ways that like you could either recover or cope with it? Any particular way?
Well, one of the ways is doing less of it. That's why, honestly, it's true because, I mean, the sessions are scheduled for 4 hours. I won't do sessions more than 2 hours if I'm screaming now. I can't because it hurts too much. So shutting up is the first thing. Once you finish the session, just shut up and stop talking to people. I drink a lot of water through the session, before, during, and after the session. I have some throat drops that are actually Chinese herbal concoction. They're called Golden Throat, and I give them out to all my friends. That really helps to kind of ease the pain, and it lubricates the throat. You really want the throat to be lubricated as much as possible. Hot tea is good, but not anything that's too tannic. You want something like a peppermint tea, like herbal teas, that sort of thing. But really, sleep and rest are the best things that you can do, and shutting up, honestly. And no matter how well trained you are, you're going to hurt yourself if you're screaming for any length of time. I've seen guys go down in like 18 seconds, and they're not able to function after that for the rest of the session. They'll do one scream, and that's it. It'll blow out their throat, and they go to the doctor. I mean, it can be that damaging. So I know how to scream. I do a lot of it, but I really try to limit it as much as possible.
All right, then.
Okay, does that help?
Yes,
Oh, and
sir,
no
it does.
coffee and no dairy products while you're working. And no sugar. Because all of that stuff is going to create phlegm in your throat and it's going to cause problems for you.
I see. All right, well, thank you very much, sir.
You're very welcome.
Like him, I too am looking to possibly break into the realm of voice acting. And I was wondering if there was one piece of advice that you knew getting into it, what would that be? Like if you wanted to know, like what do you know now that you wish you knew then? That's the question.
Well, I would be cheating you by giving you one piece of advice. The best thing I could do would be to tell you to go to a website that's created by D. Bradley Baker. If you guys are not familiar with him, he's one of the greatest actors of all time, in my opinion. He's working constantly still today. Dear friend of mine, and he wrote a website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. So I would go there, and he has called 10, 15 years worth of experience into this one website with step-by-step instructions on what to avoid, what to do, exercises, what the business is, what the business isn't. And he really gives like a $10,000 masterclass for free. So I would just go there. That would be the best piece of advice I could give you, because he's really, and it's a gift that he's given to all of us. I mean, I've read it too, and I've learned things in there that I've used. And he's a master at what he does, and he really cares. So iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. The one thing I would say is do it because you love it. Don't do it to get famous or rich.
Absolutely.
You'll never be disappointed. Hi.
Hello. So I met you at San Japan, and I was going to ask you something about the healer tank baby from last time, but I thought I'll change my question. No, she's not here to voice the nipple. Instead, I wanted to know if you could tell us a story about either the most embarrassing or the funniest thing that's ever happened to you in the booth.
Oh wow, there have been so many. Many of you may have heard this before. I may have told this story at San Japan. One of the craziest things that ever happened to me, I was in a booth recording what they call walla, which is background stuff for like a group of people that a lot of times are just, when they animate it or it's on camera even, they'll record it with no sound. So they bring in a group of us and we fill up all the sound in there. So we're in this room that's designed for one person comfortably, two people tight, and we had 5 people in the room. And we call it the refrigerator. It's this thing called a whisper room, and it's this really claustrophobic thing. But it does have glass on 2 sides. We had 5 people in this room, gathered around 1 or maybe 2 microphones, I don't remember now. And we're doing some kind of crowd scene where we're all yelling. And I'm closest to the front, and we're looking at a screen where we're watching the images go by. It was an anime. And we have a music stand in front of us with the words. So we're, sort of reading off the page and trying to fill in the lip flaps on the screen. And I was doing something where I was screaming, and there were 4 guys and 1 girl in the room. And I'm going into the scream, and I'm going, ah, doing whatever it was. And all of a sudden, a finger went up my butt. And I hopped a loogie onto the glass, which was right where the screen is, that all of us had to look through. And this loogie is it's hanging there, and it's just dripping down. And I'm going, who was that? And everybody's just going, everybody is trying to take credit for doing this. So the engineer comes out and he's wiping the loogie off the thing. He's looking at me like I'm a pig. And I come out of the room and the director's laughing. And I said, what are you laughing at? And he never laughs. This guy named Kevin Seymour, who has since passed. He was one of the great anime directors of all time. And Kevin is just giggling all over himself, and he's a very, very serious person. I said, what is so funny, dude? That was really gnarly. I'm really embarrassed. And he goes, it was her. And it turned out it was his girlfriend who did it. Girlfriend with the fickle finger. And she thought it was the funniest thing too. It was so bad. I was mortified. So I thought we'd become very close since. Oh yeah. That's a lie.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you.
Here you go. This one is, you've done a lot of work, obviously. Out of all the ones that you've done, that you've actually gotten to see, like, all the way through, like, I don't know if you've seen all the episodes of Cowboy Bebop or seen all the episodes of Lost Vision. Out of all the ones you've seen from start to finish, which one's your favorite overall? Not so much your favorite voice performance or your favorite character, but just the one that you would be more than willing to go back and watch again, like
Specific to anime or any medium?
any medium.
Oh man, it'd be so hard to choose. They're like children to me. So as far as my voice is concerned on them, they're like children. So I couldn't choose a character necessarily. But
Like I said, not so much like your favorite character, but just like
favorite shows
yeah,
in general.
favorite shows. Like where like everything's just like the voice acting, the characters, the writing, everything just clicks.
That's really rough. What comes to mind is what I'm working on right now. So it'd probably be Star Wars Rebels. Mainly because I've been a Star Wars fan since 1977. I was there when the first movie screened. And I think I watched it like 6 times in a row when it came out. And I've been a Star Wars fan for years, so to get to work on a Star Wars show, first of all, satisfies a huge inner fanboy for me. And working in that room with these people is just an amazing experience. And hearing these characters come to life, and then James Earl Jones coming on the show, and Billy D. Williams coming on the show. I mean, I'm screaming inside every time this happens. And we just announced Sarah Michelle Gellar coming on the show today. That was announced, I think. It's an unbelievable experience, and to sit in that room with a bunch of Star Wars nerds. I mean, we're scheduled for 4-hour sessions. Sometimes 2.5 to 3 hours of those sessions are spent in nerd battles because they're arguing over how to pronounce a new fruit that's being introduced into the Star Wars universe. So I'm serious. You think I'm kidding? This is serious stuff. Yeah, and it's just amazing as a fan. That one probably resonates for me more than anything else. And it's just because it's happening now. I would have said the same thing about Transformers before, or Wolverine, the X-Men before, or Cowboy Bebop before, or Digimon before. I was a writer on that show. I got to write for myself and all of my friends on season 3. So, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to pick one. But that's the one that's standing out for me right now.
I know you from Legend of Korra as a mod. Love it. I was
Thank
wondering
you.
if...
Let them on your mind. A million of them.
I was wondering if you could do the "You Have Been Purified" thing.
Oh, for you?
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name's Lily.
Lily, you've been purified.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
My little sister, she wanted to ask you a question.
No bending for you either. Hi. Hi, little sister. Do you have a name?
Yes,
What's your name?
Heidi Ray.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
What's your question?
Can you do a Mickey Mouse accent?
Mickey Mouse accent. I think that is an accent. That's as good as it gets. Sorry. And that's why I don't do Mickey Mouse. Thank you. Is that okay? Okay.
That's what I heard.
Best one you've heard?
Out of anyone.
You need to get out more, kid. Thank you for that. That was very sweet. And welcome to the end. Welcome to the world of conventions. Everybody give her a round of applause. Newbie! Just so you know, it gets worse from here. Doesn't get better.
It's all you
Thanks,
have to look
Heidi.
forward to.
That's good sistering right there. Good sistering. Hi.
How are you?
Very well. Are you ready for battle? Yes.
I wanted to know how you were contacted to come back as for Toonami with that whole April Fool's special and everything.
That was an amazing thing. After being off the air for 4 years, I had been in touch with the guys from Toonami, as they brought me in occasionally to do commercials for Adult Swim and for Cartoon Network. I consider them my friends. They're my family. I've known those guys forever. They asked me if I'd be interested in doing this little April Fool's prank, and we were going to take over the network. Were you guys aware of this? Does
Yes.
Yeah, everybody know how this happened? So it was an amazing thing. They got free programming. All of the licenses were free that night for them for Dragon Ball Z and all the other great old shows, and they wanted to show Toonami in its glory day for that one night. And it was really meant to be a gift for the fans and sort of a love letter and a thank you for all the years of tuning into Toonami, because they were all still there, they all still loved it, they're all anime fans, and they didn't think it would go anywhere from there. Well, there were 2 reactions to it. One was, oh, this is awesome, and the other reaction was, I hate you for teasing us like this is horrible, you guys are evil. And what happened, though, later on that night, we were about halfway through the broadcast, and I think I got a phone call or an email from Gil